Prince Philip died aged 99 last week, leaving behind his wife of more than 70 years. The royal family is currently in a period of mourning for the late Duke of Edinburgh, who the Queen once described as her strength and stay during her reign. She will be joined by 29 members of the family for the funeral service this Saturday, which will kick off at 3 p.m. in St. George Chapel, located in the grounds of Windsor Castle where the couple had been isolating since the start of the coronavirus lockdown last March. Here is a full timeline of events for the funeral. 11 a.m., the coffin will be moved from the private chapel to the inner hall of Windsor Castle. Draped with Philip's personal standard along with his sword, naval cap and a wreath of flowers, it will be carried by members of the Queen's Company, 1st Battalion Grenadier Guards. 2 p.m., the ceremonial aspect of Prince Philip's funeral begins and within 15 minutes military detachments drawn from Philip's special military relationships such as the Royal Navy, the Royal Marines, the Grenadier Guards, the Royal Gurkha Rifles, the Intelligence Corps and the Highlanders will line up in the castle's quadrangle. 2:10 p.m., the Dean will say prayers before leaving by car to St. George Chapel. 2:15 p.m., representatives from the services will arrive in place in the quadrangle to show Philip's special military relationships. The quadrangle will also be lined by the household cavalry and the foot guards. 2:17 p.m., the band of the Grenadier Guards will be in Engine Court. 2:20 p.m., members of the royal family and Philip's relatives who are not taking part in the procession will leave Windsor Castle by car. 2:27 p.m., the Land Rover, designed by the late Duke, will enter the quadrangle via George IV Gate, where bands will begin to play music. The service chiefs, the Major General commanding the Household Division and his staff will leave from the Equerries entrance and take their position by the state entrance. They will face the Land Rover while pallbearers will take up position either side of the vehicle. Together they will move towards the state entrance. 2:38 p.m., the coffin is lifted in the inner hall. 2:40 p.m., members of Philip's household take up their positions in the procession and the bands stop playing music. 2:41 p.m., the coffin emerges from the state entrance and is met by members of the royal family who are walking in the procession. They will not be wearing uniforms. A royal salute is given by the service detachments, the service chiefs, the pallbearers, the Major General commanding the Household Division and his staff give a royal salute. The coffin is placed onto the Land Rover. 2:44 p.m., the Queen, accompanied by a lady-in-waiting, leaves from the Sovereign's entrance in the State Bentley as the national anthem is played. The Bentley will pause as it reaches the rear of the procession so the front section of the procession can turn to face the direction of travel. 2:45 p.m., the procession, which is planned to take 8 minutes, sets off. Prince Philip's body is currently resting in the private chapel at Windsor Castle. But on Saturday, Prince Philip's coffin will be moved to the state entrance of Windsor Castle for the funeral procession. Carried by Land Rover, the procession through the grounds of Windsor will begin, led by the band of the Grenadier Guards. Prince Charles, among other members of the royal family, is expected to walk behind the coffin. The procession is expected to last 8 minutes and will move from the quadrangle, to Chapel Hill and down to Horseshoe Cloister. The royal family website explains the Duke's coffin will be carried by a bearer party found by the Royal Marines. Tributes to Prince Philip will be visible on his coffin and throughout St. George's Chapel on the day of the funeral. The Duke of Edinburgh's naval cap and sword will be placed on the coffin ahead of the service and his insignia will be laid on the altar of the chapel. 2:53 p.m., the Land Rover carrying Prince Philip's coffin is expected to arrive at 2:53 p.m. at St. George's Chapel. 3 p.m., mourners at the funeral will take part in a 1-minute silence, along with the rest of the nation. The coffin will pause on the steps and after the 1-minute silence, the funeral service will then begin. The coffin will be received at the top of the west steps of St. George's Chapel by the Dean of Windsor and the Archbishop of Canterbury. The funeral service for Prince Philip will then be conducted by the Dean of Windsor. Prince Philip will be interred in the royal vault within St. George's Chapel, while a lament will be played by a pipe major of the Royal Regiment of Scotland and the last post will be sounded by buglers of the Royal Marines. After a period of silence, the reveille will be sounded by the state trumpeters of the Household Cavalry. Buglers of the Royal Marines will sound action stations, which was a request Prince Philip made before he died. The Archbishop of Canterbury will then pronounce the blessing, which will be followed by the national anthem. The Queen and the other mourners in attendance will then leave St. George's Chapel via the Galilee porch. The royal vault will not be the Duke's final resting place. When the Queen dies, Philip will be buried by her side at the King George VI Memorial Chapel, which is also in St. George's Chapel.